He didn't throw anything. That would have been easier to explain. He just stood in the center of the living room, voice sharp and certain, guests frozen around us like furniture. Get out of our house until you apologize or don't come back at all. No, not loud enough to be called violent, just loud enough to be remembered. Someone laughed awkwardly. Someone else picked up their glass. The music was still playing. My name floated in the air, unfinished. I remember noticing the chandelier. It needed cleaning. Humiliation doesn't always arrive as heat. Sometimes it arrives as clarity. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't give him the performance he expected, the emotional collapse that would let him win twice. I picked up my phone from the kitchen counter. I walked past the people who suddenly couldn't meet my eyes. I put on my shoes by the door. He didn't stop me. He believed I would come back smaller. Outside, the night air felt surgical, clean, precise. I sat in my car and didn't start the engine. For a moment, I let the words replay. Our house, the down payment had come from my inheritance. My father's last quiet gift to me. We had decided together that it would be simpler if I handled the finances. He didn't like paperwork. He said it stressed him. So I did the accounts, the deposits, the utilities, the phone plans, the insurance, the streaming subscriptions, the credit card authorizations. It had never felt like power. It felt like responsibility. I opened the banking app. My thumb hovered for a second, not because I doubted the legality. I knew the structure. Primary account holder, authorized user, joint liability, all clearly defined. I froze one card. No drama. Just a tap. Then the second. Then the auto deposit from the shared business account that routed into his personal spending line. I didn't empty anything. I didn't transfer money to punish him. I restricted access. If I was not welcome in our house, then our accounts needed clarification too. The mobile plan was next. He was on my corporate family bundle. I removed his line. It would stay active for emergency calls, but data would stop by morning. I started the engine and drove to a hotel 20 minutes away. By the time I checked in, I had 3 missed calls. By the time I showered, there were 9. The first voicemail was angry. What are you doing? My card's not working. The second was confused. Is the bank down? The fourth sounded cautious. Call me. Now I muted the phone and slept. The next morning, the calls continued. 15, 18, 22. He texted, we need to talk, not I'm sorry. Not yet. At 10:17 a.m., the bank called me. Fraud prevention. They had flagged unusual activity from an authorized user attempting multiple large transactions after access restrictions were applied. Would you like to permanently modify permissions? The representative asked. Her voice was neutral, detached. Yes, I said. There it was, the external shift, not emotional, institutional. He could shout at me. He could not override the bank. Humiliation fades differently than anger. Anger wants retaliation. Humiliation wants restoration. By noon, there were 27 missed calls. The last voicemail was quieter. Why would you do this to me? That sentence stayed with me. Not why did I say that? Not I shouldn't have embarrassed you. Just confusion that consequence had appeared. I called a friend not to cry, but to confirm. She's a property attorney. I sent her a photo of the deed from our digital folder. Your name is first, she said. Primary title holder. If he told you to leave, that's symbolic, not legal. Symbolic. That's what his authority had always been. Symbolic. We met 2 days later at the bank branch because I insisted on it. Public, but neutral. The advisor, a man in his 50s with careful glasses, pulled up our accounts on the screen between us. He explained access tiers, liability exposure, ownership, hierarchy. He did not take sides. He just clarified facts. Currently, he said calmly, Mrs. is the primary holder. Permissions can be adjusted, but not overridden. My husband sat very still. For the first time since I had known him, his voice lowered without force. This is extreme, he said. The advisor blinked. It is procedural. Procedure is difficult to argue with. Silence filled the space where his certainty used to live. Then, finally, I shouldn't have said that, he muttered. It wasn't poetic. It wasn't dramatic. But it was the first sentence directed at what actually happened. I didn't respond immediately. I let the quiet stay. I'm not apologizing to come back, I said carefully. I left because you told me to. His jaw tightened. I was angry. You were public. That was the difference. I didn't restore everything. We restructured separate spending accounts. Joint expenses documented, automatic transfers visible to both of us. No unilateral access, no hidden assumptions. The phone line, I reinstated it on his own billing profile. The credit cards, limited authorization. The house, I went back 3 days later. Not because he invited me, not because I forgave him, because my key still worked. He was in the kitchen when I walked in. No audience, no performance. He didn't shout. He didn't apologize again either. He just moved aside so I could pass. The chandelier still needed cleaning. 2. Something subtle had shifted. He stopped making jokes about me in front of friends. He asked before assuming. Not perfectly, not magically, but consistently enough to notice. And I stopped absorbing things that were not mine to carry. I no longer confuse endurance with love, leverage with respect, silence with weakness. There was no celebration, no victory speech, just a different air in the house. The kind that settles after someone realizes the door they tried to slam was never theirs alone. 27 missed calls, and none of them were about money. They were about access, not to accounts, to me.